Take a second, if the Lord would permit it, and Pastor after. My testimony is akin to Reverend Jesse's. It seemed like we all have a one accord message today. Yes. And he's right. Preachers are just like you, and I struggle every second on the clock.
Yes.
Every second on the clock. And we get it caught up. We think that it's about our own righteousness and what we do. Or, my sin ain't as bad as this person's sin. I might do this, but I don't do that. But if you break one part of the law, you broke them all. We're all sinners saved by grace. Yes. So this morning, I was reading about one of my favorite kings in the Bible is Josiah. And Josiah is a prominent king in the Bible. There wasn't one like him until Jesus. He was the greatest king of Israel. The Bible actually says that there was none who turned God's people's heart towards God before him and none like him after him. It actually says that. And the thing about Josiah that blew my mind is Josiah was a young king. Like, he became king at, 5 years old or something like that? He became king at 5. And Josiah had a dad who was a pagan and a sinner and was wicked. And even his grandfather was wicked. So when he became king, everything around him was wicked. Everything around him was wicked. He did not know the ways of the Lord. Everything around him was the opposite of the ways of the Lord. So let's start there. In your circumstances, if you think you got it bad, let's look at Josiah. And then something about him snapped and he was like, let's reform Israel. And he started making changes that were great. Like he started getting rid of some of the idol worship and getting rid of this and getting rid of out of that. And it was awesome, and he was a great king. And at 20 years old, he wanted to clean out all of the idol worshiping temples, and he sent his prophet to clean them out. And he went in there, and under the dust and rubble was the Bible. You see, Josiah looked righteous before he found the word. And then he found the word, and he was horrified. He was scared. He thought he was doing a good job. He thought that he was righteous. And then he found the word of God under the dust and rubble. And he opened it and realized that everything he was doing wasn't good enough. And Josiah, at that point, and the difference between him and a lot of us is that when we hear the word, we think about the fact that we ain't good enough. We stay there. We think about the fact that we sin and we mess up. Like I said, every second on the clock. But Josiah turned to the Lord. He picked up the word of God and he reformed Israel. And he took all of the temples and tore them down. And he did not lean on his righteousness that he had before. Because if you read it and you looked at the story, you would have thought he was a great king then. But we didn't know his destiny. See, if we would have looked at this story, we would have looked at Josiah and said, you're good, keep going. But God saw Josiah, that the book of Kings talks about, that there was no greater king before or after. God knew that in him. But what we would have saw was the righteousness and the acts that he did before. And I say to you today, you might smoke or drink. You might fornicate. But God is not looking at you at this present time. He sees a person who is going to turn towards the Lord like nobody before. He sees someone who's going to cause reformations in their life like no other before. And it's not by your works, like the minister said, like the elder said. It is when you open that word of God and you see what God's standard is, and you turn around, not on your righteousness, but his righteousness. Yes. And when we do that, then you will walk in your greatness. Then you will walk in your destiny. You see, the brother was talking about the wilderness, and you stay in the wilderness, and you stay in the wilderness. And the children of Israel who wandered for 40 days and 40 nights didn't know how to get out of the wilderness. I'm going to tell you right now how to get out of the wilderness. To get out of the wilderness, you have to be like Josiah, and you have to find the word of God, and you have to open it, and you have to turn from your righteousness to his righteousness, and then you will find the promised land, and then you will walk into the land of milk and honey and Canaan. And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to not be a people who live good on our own standards, who do things in a way that people say, hey, you're a good person, and that's good enough. No, we're going to be a person to say, my works are as filthy rags, and I am going to turn to the Lord. I am going to look to the hill from which cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord. Amen. Amen.